Judy Mzungu, karibu sana.
Asante Mwikali.
And that hair is goals.
Now you can pay also. Another till number to introduce you to the hairdresser.
This is the life we are living. This is what we have decided for ourselves.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante na
It's been a while, but always lovely to have you on the show. And I love the conversation we're having today.
Yes.
Because I think personally I have struggled so much with boundaries and knowing that it's okay for me to be like, I will not allow this to go past here.
Yes.
And stand by it, because setting them up and being like, yeah, I set it up, but then tomorrow I'll just sawa basi.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And it's a whole thing, because we need it even in the most intimate of relationships.
That's true. That's true. And I think it's important, it's good that we had the conversation about making peace with the past first.
Yes.
Because when you have made peace with the past, then now you value yourself.
Okay.
Because you've had a chance to look at the past and you've made peace with it, you have redefined yourself, not based on what happened before. And now when you come to that place, you can say, this is Mwikali, I made these mistakes, people say this, but now I have a new definition of who I am. Based on this definition, I can then say I'm not willing to go back to where I was before. Okay. That is what is going to help you to draw boundaries.
Okay.
Many times we try to draw boundaries, but we're drawing boundaries based on the old version of ourselves. That's why maybe it can't stand.
Okay. I see. And we're not that person anymore.
You're not that person anymore.
Yeah.
Hoping and trusting God that you have already taken the journey of making peace with the past.
Yes.
Because the reason why we don't even have boundaries in the first place is because we haven't learned to attach value to who we are.
Okay.
So you can only draw boundaries when you have taken that journey. After you've taken that journey, then now you understand yourself. And based on the fact that you understand yourself, you're able to now attach value to who you are. And you can only, once you attach value to who you are, you begin to place boundaries to how far people can come or who comes in and how far they go. Okay. It's just similar to land, because Kenyans love land.
Yes, we do.
But then every piece of land has beacons to say that this is the territory and this is just how far you go.
Okay.
So now when you have made peace with the past and you're able then to attach value to yourself, then now you're coming to the place where you are setting boundaries to protect the most valuable asset, and that's you. For the first time in your life, you come to the place of defining yourself as a valuable asset. You come to the place of seeing yourself as a gem. Okay. Now that is what will help you to draw boundaries.
Okay. How do you go about that? So probably you've been living all your life without the boundaries.
Yes.
And because probably you were told, oh, you know, boundaries, you can't keep saying no. No is selfish.
Yes.
Just say yes, even if you will learn, accommodate people, you know, and that conversation will go on, and now you're an adult, and now you've gotten to the point where I understand I need boundaries, because I can't keep saying yes to things that I want to say no to.
Yes.
I can't keep accommodating things that I really do not want to be a part of. How is that journey then, to be able to say no, or to say, I'm sorry, but I would not be able to do this?
I think the first thing that we have to understand, and that's where that making peace with the past is a good conversation to have, because then the reason why we are the way we are is because of the families that we came from.
Okay.
So your ability to draw boundaries or not is largely defined by your family setup. If, as an example, you came from a home that was very controlled, and which happened to most of us who grew up, of course, in the older generation, the home environment was very controlled. So because the home environment was so controlled, guess what happens? You also learn to be very controlled. You're passing on the cycle from one generation to another.
Okay.
So that's one way. The other thing that happens is because the home environment was very controlled, you learn to comply just for the sake of making peace. And because of that, anything that comes goes. You have learned to make peace all your life.
Not offend anyone.
Yes, because that was your mode of survival within your own home setting.
Okay.
The other thing that we do from time to time is to try and reenact whatever that we have seen from wherever we came from. So that's why it's important to look back and then begin to see what was the dysfunction where I came from as far as boundaries are concerned. Why am I the way I am? Because it's not enough to just say you're setting boundaries, but you have to understand why is it that in the first place I have a challenge having boundaries. And then now that takes you to a place where you begin to define your self-esteem issues. If you have self-esteem issues, you won't be able to set boundaries. Okay. If you always want
okay.
Yeah. If you always want to belong, you'll have a problem setting boundaries. If you always want to be validated,
you won't be able to.
You'll have a problem setting boundaries.
If you're a people pleaser.
If you're a people pleaser, you won't have a problem setting boundaries.
So I think maybe then, and I'm not so sure about this, it's just something that just came to my mind, then I need to be able to understand now what it is that made me uncomfortable.
Yes.
What did I say yes to?
Yes.
And later nimebaki niko lazima. So when you pick out those little things, then you'll know those things are not the things that I want to do or be part of.
Yes, or even sometimes just understand where you're broken.
Okay.
So now you're broken. What caused your brokenness? Because sometimes you said yes because at that point it was comfortable for you. You didn't know otherwise. But once you begin your healing journey, now you come to the place where you can say, no, actually, there were some choices that I made based on the version of myself that didn't know and attach value to who I am today. And because now I know better, then I can begin to ask myself, exactly what's my character like?
Yeah.
Am I a people pleaser? Where is my self-esteem? Was my self-esteem affected somewhere along the way? So then now that tells you, you first you have to correct that. Then that empowers you to create boundaries.
We have different kinds of relationships, Judy.
Yes.
With our parents, with
Yes.
our siblings,
Yes.
the general, relatives, extended family, and we have our partners as well. And sometimes I think growing up, being able to set boundaries or being able to stand your ground when it comes to your parents, they were always right.
Yes.
Depending on how you grew up.
Yes.
And if you were allowed to say your piece, if you were allowed to say, this is what I think. If you were not allowed to say that, then they were always right.
Yes.
How easy or difficult is it then to be able to set up these boundaries for yourself when it comes to our parents?
I think the main reason why we have a challenge with boundaries is because we have limited it to words.
Okay.
There's a way you can communicate with me a boundary, Mikali, by just deciding, you know what, Judy, at this particular point in my life, you're not giving me peace. So I probably will not call you for some time.
Yeah.
And that will give you time to rethink a few things, such that by the time we reconnect, you will have shifted and created the boundary. Does that make sense to you?
So I take time out.
Take time out. Take time to figure out. And that time will also help me to, and it will help you to redefine yourself. Okay. And it will help me by the time we are reconnecting with you, I'm relating with you based on now the new boundary that you have put.
And I don't need to communicate it
not
verbally?
Not necessarily. You understand? Because there's something about the time away that will do something to, one, strengthen you, and two, help me, the other person, to be able to see that there's something different about you the moment we really reconnect.
Okay. Okay.
So that's one sort of boundary. The next boundary, of course, is words, where you can actually speak and verbalize depending on how comfortable you are. And what I believe that one of the reasons why it becomes very challenging for us to communicate boundaries is because we are coming from a wounded space. So because you're coming from a wounded space, you're not able to explain it politely but firmly, because with grace and honor.
Yes.
Just laugh. Yes. So, but if you're coming from a safe place where, yes, you have healed with whatever, it's easy for you to communicate that this is what I feel, and you'll be able to say it graciously. It's easy for the other person to accept it. Granted, they may not be able to see it the way you are because they themselves haven't taken the journey that you have.
No.
But should they not be willing to see it the way that you are seeing it, in as much as you have explained it graciously, then you should be willing to pay the price.
of losing them.
Of losing them temporarily. Sometimes it doesn't mean that you have to lose them permanently, but you'll give them time to figure out that something has changed about you. Because people who are used to the old version of you, Mikali, the version of you that was boundaryless, don't think that they'll come hugging you when you have come now with new boundaries.
I don't want the hugs anyway. No.
Yes, you get what I'm saying, yes.
Okay, I get what you mean.
Yes.
And that, I think, is what happens then when you choose to follow your path and choose you, then conversation changes outside.
Yes.
Hey, Squeezy, may change.
Yes, yes.
Ah, Squeezy, kutoka. So people start speaking about you.
Yes.
And how changed you are.
Yes.
And how you're not letting them have access to you the way they used to before. So they will never understand that journey because they didn't take it.
Exactly.
But
once, if you have taken it from the place of healing and understanding yourself, then what will happen? You will be consistent.
Okay.
And with time, they learn to respect it.
Okay.
The other way to communicate boundaries is even by the way you conduct yourself. There's a way someone checks into the room and you know that you're not going to handle them the way you handle the next person because there's just something different about them. But the thing about it is you have to, and that's why that journey, making peace with the past, is very necessary, because then whatever it is that you're communicating is coming from the inside out. It's authentic.
Okay. You've lived that life before, so you know what it is that you don't want.
Yes.
You know what it is that you want now.
You know what it is that you want
to go for it.
Yes. And you know, and that is who you are on the inside. It is your value system.
Yeah.
It's not a fake.
No.
Now, the only reason why people tend to fluctuate is because you're trying to live out something that's not you. Because you haven't lived out. You haven't taken out the healing journey.
Oh, wow.
So you cannot set boundaries without healing. That's a truth.
What kind of boundaries are there, though?
They're physical boundaries where now, for example, you keep away from someone, like I said. If you realize that they are not, you keep away from them physically. And the reason why you keep those physical boundaries is because now we understand body, soul, and spirit. And we understand that if I come in close to you, whatever you say doesn't just end at that place. I will take it into my soul. It will affect my emotions. It will affect the state of my intellect. And because it has affected the state of my intellect, it will affect my spirit. So when now I choose to keep physical boundaries, what am I doing? I'm taking care of my physical space, I'm taking care of my emotional space, and I'm taking care of my spiritual space.
Okay.
So those are physical boundaries. The other boundary that you have to set is word boundaries. I said, like communicating very, very clearly where you are with someone. And then there's time, where you give someone time away for them to be able to figure themselves out as you also are able to figure yourself out.
Okay.
And then there's the physical distance. Of course, sometimes boundaries can be communicated not by necessarily keeping away from people, but just helping someone to understand that there's a way they cannot touch you inappropriately, as an example. There's a way that this is personal space, don't come too close to me.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another boundary that you set.
You know, there's something we've seen over time. I don't know if you have, but maybe your friends, probably a clique.
Yes.
And then one of you decides to change their path in terms of, maybe probably getting into Christianity or maybe getting saved. So they choose a different path from all of you. And it's not a path of, I don't want to be friends with you, but I've just chosen to do my things differently.
Yeah.
And I've chosen to follow Christ and all of that. Then what happens on the other side is like, but then that doesn't mean that we can't hang out with you. But then there's so many things that will happen when I hang out with you that my new journey does not allow me to.
Yes.
So you need to walk away from that and all of that.
I guess maybe okay, you need to keep distance because of course your values don't align for the time being. But again, it doesn't mean that you necessarily discard people.
Okay.
You understand? Now that brings us to the place where we understand levels of relationships. Actually, the reason why people struggle with maintaining boundaries is because they haven't understood the element or the aspect of levels of relationships. Okay, because you have to be able to understand, Mikali, they are strangers. Okay. They are strangers. People that are seeing you on TV today, they're your strangers, but yet you're serving them.
Yes.
Then there are acquaintances, people that you will meet on a regular basis, the camera crew here, the people at the gate and all that. They are not necessarily your friends, they are acquaintances. Okay. Then there's now your team. Now your team are those people that come to help you fulfill your mission and your purpose.
Okay.
And then there's your inner circle. Now, your inner circle are those people that you know you are sharing with them the deepest part of you so that they can take you where you need to go. And then there's your confidant.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Please explain the confidant.
The confidant is that person that you know you will take the bullet for you. Will die with you. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So once you understand those levels, it helps you to maintain boundaries.
That is so true, because we get it confused.
Yes.
All the way back.
Yeah, thank you.
All the way.
Yes. Now that's the reason why we don't know how to draw boundaries, because who are you drawing boundaries for when you don't even understand who falls where?
Okay. Yeah. Oh my goodness. You'll be there acquaintanting.
Yes, yes. You're there thinking that acquaintance is in your inner circle. Exactly. But you haven't even examined their core values. Now that tells you that scenario of those people that you're talking about. Eh?
Yes.
Yes. So if your core values don't align, they're not in your team, but they're acquaintances, meaning they can still be in your space. But how close do you allow them
to get?
Yes. That will help you to draw boundaries. Another boundary that I want to talk about is emotional boundaries.
Okay.
Because emotional boundaries now will be drawn that will help you as far as those levels of relationships are concerned. Meaning, there's just how far you allow a confidant, there's how far you allow a confidant very close to you.
Yes.
You allow the inner circle closer. You allow the team you understand? Because these teams are not formed based on emotions. It is a very objective decision that you're making based on where you are going.
Okay.
I keep saying the best person who gave us the example of how to form a team was Bob Colimo. Did you see the team that he had around him?
Yes,
when he died?
Boys Club.
Boys Club.
Yes.
Because he was very conscious of the decision of the people that he was allowing into his life. Who is in your club, Mikali? Point to think about.
Who is in your club? Yeah? Who is in your club? And I love the fact that you've broken it down like that, because now you get to see. Because your boundaries probably will not involve people that you see every day, but they're not very close. You can just live with them. But what boundaries, to what level in terms of friendship are you drawing those boundaries? Very important conversation. It's getting me thinking, and I hope it's getting you thinking as well. Please send in your questions, 111-444-111. That is our SMS line. It's just going to cost you a shilling to do that. We'll be right back with Judy after this break. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mikali. We're talking about boundaries and how to set healthy ones while you're at it. Okay, we have looked at the different kinds of boundaries that are there, and we were at emotional, and we were given this whole list of how we need to categorize the people that are around us, and I am in shock. Do I have a team? What is my team? Where are they? As we try to create all these boundaries. And that there's the inner circle, and it goes deeper than that.
Yes.
That there's a confidant as well.
Yes.
And that is the emotional boundaries.
Yes.
So you know, for this category, this is how we are, this is how we relate.
Yes.
So this is how I'm going to create that boundary for these people.
Yes, yes. Such that now, if someone doesn't qualify, you don't struggle too much. You just understand that there's a boundary that now you have to put, because you simply didn't meet that. It removes a lot of expectation as far as relationships are concerned.
Wow. Is there any other boundary? Because now
we are good, don't worry.
We are? Because I'm just looking at my life thinking, what? When we talk about creating or building those boundaries,
yes,
what are some of the, healthy ways of not really, how you know that you're not very good at, building the boundaries?
Yes.
That you're not doing a good job at it. Yes, I'm trying and I'm willing to do it. Because it's not like a raka, and you can't put boundaries on everybody, mara moja.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. How you know that you're not good at building boundaries is, first and foremost, you do things and then you're uncomfortable about it.
Isn't that like nature? Normal, is it?
Well, no, because once you have healed and you're able to, Mikali, you're able to give what you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Without feeling like anyone needs to return back to you.
Or explaining yourself.
Yes. or even feeling like, you understand, eh? The reason why we become so tired or we start complaining is because you gave the stranger what actually is meant only for the team. Are you getting?
I understand.
But then if you're very clear that this is a stranger and this is how far I can go, and then you're okay. Life becomes easier. You don't feel, it doesn't stop you from giving, but when you give what you're comfortable giving.
Okay. And that should be okay.
And that should be okay. Because it doesn't stop you from serving the world.
No.
But then again, it just means that even as I give, I'm not feeling like, teseki kupeana, because there is joy out of that sort of giving. Yes, than when you overextend yourself and then you're left feeling used. That's another thing that tells you you're not good at setting boundaries.
When you feel like you're being used.
When you feel like you're being used. Why are you feeling used? Because you gave more than you should have.
You're empty.
Yes.
And you don't know how to refill that.
You don't know how to refill, yes.
Probably even the people that should be doing that for you, or maybe where you get your refill from, is probably some place you haven't discovered yet.
Yes, yes. So you feel taken advantage of. Whereas these people were just on the receiving end. They had no clue what was going on in your life.
And takers don't have boundaries.
Yeah,
they take.
Yes, they take.
They will take.
Yes.
Hey.
The other thing that will tell you that you don't have boundaries is because you keep allowing intrusion into your life.
Please explain.
Intrusion. It means like, Mikali, I come to your house and you know that you want to go somewhere. But you just have no capacity to say, sorry, you've come at a wrong time. I need to do something else, or I'm going somewhere. So you're sitting there entertaining me, whereas deep down you know that you're actually not enjoying this visit.
Yeah. That happens a lot.
That you get.
So like, just get out. Do you want to leave today? Is the next hour good for you to just go? But no, I'll be there breaking my back trying to bake you a cake.
Yes. You can. It's okay to just say, sorry, you've come at a wrong time.
Yeah.
There's something else that I wanted to do.
Hey, excuse me, Mwix anajisikia. Nilienda kwake akanifukuza. But then again, there's also the need, and that's, I think, the other way to look at it.
Yes.
You're busy trying to over-impress everyone.
Yes.
And you can't do that.
You can't do that. And that's why you end up feeling unappreciated, not valued. You become very bitter. You see why we have to put these boundaries, so that you don't go back to that place where you're cleaning your past again.
Yeah.
And now you're beginning to safeguard who you are.
Judy, do we have something like unhealthy boundaries?
Yes.
Okay.
Unhealthy boundaries is where you have walls, not fences. Yes. So unhealthy boundaries happen because you haven't dealt with the issues of your life.
Okay.
So because you haven't dealt with the issues of your life, you feel like you can't trust people, you can't open up to people, and that's why you have erected very high walls around you.
No, keka ile
electric fence.
Yes.
Na German Shepherd. Are you getting?
So that's unhealthy.
So yes, so no one has access to you.
Okay.
So actually, healthy boundaries are just fences. You remember picket fences when you go on Aquanini? Yes. That's how they are, which means that they tell people just how far they can go, but then it's good enough to allow people in, and again, good enough to safeguard you from danger.
Okay.
The moment you have very high walls that kind of close you in and lock people out, just know that's an unhealthy boundary. And that speaks to you that you need a healing journey to then be able to interact with people and experience life in its fullness.
Today you're nini?
I am.
Hey.
Tuko tu hapo.
Wacha nikusomee swali. Help. I need to set healthy boundaries. What do I do? Which ones do I set? Which ones do I not? It's quite ambiguous, but I don't know how or what you would tell them.
They need to set healthy boundaries. First,
Yes.
you need to find out what are your needs, first and foremost. You see, your boundaries and mine will be different.
Very different.
Yes, based on what is of importance to you, what is your value system, where are you going. So first you need to understand what is your need. Once you understand what your need is, then you can set boundaries based on your personal needs. And when you set those your personal boundaries, then a healthy boundary also tells you that the same boundary that you're extending to yourself, extend respect to others.
Okay. So if I don't want you in my house 24/7,
Yes.
then I also know that I will not be showing up at your house uninvited.
Yes.
And be there chilling for a week.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Because now you have the
You're
same
conscious.
yes, have the same sort of awareness, the same consciousness, and extend it to the next person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the best with this. Without a sense of me, it is difficult to know how to be in friendships, romance, or at work. So often people will think that my boundaries are selfish. How can I learn to differentiate this?
Okay. Like I said, the main thing is just to remain accessible. And people can tell when they can get through to you, Mikali. People can tell when you have a wall around you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Have you ever met someone and you just feel you can't connect with them for whatever reason? Yes. They erected walls around them.
Oh. So it's not a me thing.
No.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. They erected walls around them, so that made it very difficult for you to access them. When you know how you know that, one, you have healed, two, you have healthy boundaries, is that, one, people are able to treat you with grace and honor, but then at the same time you're not sending them a vibe of I'm inaccessible. There's something about you that still grants them access into your life, but in as much as you grant them access into your life, there's also something about you that exudes honor and grace.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I get it, and I hope everybody is, because I'm in this conversation. I'm totally, it's personal on so many levels. And
you can see me after this, it's okay. Pro bono.
Hi. Judy, I'll be opening up my heart to you. We've had conversations around how you have ideas, or when you have like a big thing coming your way and you're planning on, doing these great things or starting a huge business.
Yes.
And usually the thing that you'll be told is, usiambiane.
Yes.
Ukiambiana, haita happen.
Yeah.
So that's another sort of boundary, probably, I think, maybe intellectual or maybe idea boundary.
Well, actually what it is, and those people are not necessarily wrong. You're supposed to go to your inner circle. Now, because I'm a kingdom life coach, and apologetically, so those are the people that will incubate whatever it is that you're saying and take it to the place of prayer. They will stand with you. They will believe with you. Even sometimes when your own faith is weak. Even sometimes when you don't believe. They will be the ones who tell you, Mikali, yes, you can do it. Because let me tell you, even though that big idea, in as much as you're doing it fearfully. So you need someone who will stand in the gap for you, someone who will pray for you, someone who will believe with you, someone who will encourage you. That ideally should be your inner circle. And so those people who say don't tell everyone, yes, they are right. Because not everyone has capacity to incubate what you have.
That is so true. And if you do not know the level or the different kinds of friendships that you have, then you end up going and telling anybody who's at the top, like bottom of the chain.
Yes. What you are about to do. And they don't qualify, two, they can't help you. And maybe they'll discourage you because they have no clue. They don't know you. But you see your inner circle, they know you. They know what you're capable of.
And because it's impossible for these people, then they'll think it's impossible for you too. So they'll put you down.
Yes.
They'll be like, uko sure na hii corona? Unataka kuanzisha, utaona venye zimefungwa?
Ujaona vile town biashara zimejaa?
Yeah.
Yes. So you need someone who believes, someone who trusts, someone who knows you, someone who can stand with you and encourage you. And that would be your inner circle.
Okay. Great. Hi. I am an introvert.
Yes.
Who normally uses a lot of me time, but people don't seem to understand who I need or what I need at this time. How do I set healthy boundaries without kukosana na watu? So like an introvert already inakani kama kona boundaries.
Yeah, unajua, actually our greatest challenge in our society is that we have failed to understand introverts.
Oh, okay.
And yet, honestly speaking, they're the richest personality because they carry such depth, they carry such wisdom in them. But because we expect everyone to be bubbly and talking and all that, we actually have refused to understand them. And the greatest challenge that I find is for introverts to actually accept themselves. So they begin to beat themselves down because they wonder, why can't I be like Mikali as an example, bubbly? And yet they were created to be that way. There's a space that they feel. So introverts should be unapologetic about the fact that sometimes I need time for myself, and that is just who I am, and that's how I draw my energy.
Okay.
So for introverts, you have to first accept who you are. Once you accept who you are, you'll be unapologetic about the time that you need your space and know there's nothing wrong with you. You are just fine. We need you in the uniqueness that God created you to be.
Okay. So in that way, you'll not be kosanaing with people.
No,
and
in fact, actually, their
okay.
biggest challenge is not kosanaing with people. They are because atakosana na mtu wapi na yuko kwa nyumba. Biggest challenge is because they want to fit in with the rest of the people, and because they have not been celebrated enough. Introverts are forever trying to be like the rest of the people.
Okay.
So hiyo kukosana maybe comes because people expect, mbona unakaa tu peke yako, mbona uongei sijui nini? But once you accept yourself and you carry yourself, because a lot of introverts, because they have been put down by society, also suffer low self-esteem. So once they're able to accept themselves and then find self-esteem, then they realize that it's okay. And they step into the room, and let me tell you, an introvert who knows themselves has just as much confidence as an extrovert.
Okay. Are there barriers then when you're trying to create these boundaries for yourself?
Yes.
What are some of the things that will be probably a hindrance to you being able to set those boundaries, you know, with honor and grace?
Yes.
Yes.
I think one of the things is that you will fear judgment.
Yeah.
Yes, so there's going to be judgment. That's one barrier that you have to contend with. Two, there's also going to be the barrier of you wanting to belong, because we have been what is it called? So tuned that way, that you always need to be with people. So there's going to be that thing of wanting to belong, and that's something that you have to fight even as you try to create boundaries. Why? Because the reason why you're creating boundaries is because something has been violated along the way, and now as you rebuild it, you have to begin then to build fences around it.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's going to be that thing of societal expectations, of things being normal, of you wanting to belong. Now you will beat yourself up and just understand that you will eventually fit in. Let me tell you what, Mikali, they'll fight you the first time. They'll not understand you. But as long as you're consistent and it's coming from the place of authenticity, they'll get to the place where they'll respect and appreciate you for who you are.
And this applies to everyone.
Yes.
That you want to put up boundaries.
Yes.
Because it's just yourself that you choose. It's everybody else who's not in line with what your values are or what you've chosen for yourself.
Yes.
And we need to understand
Yes.
that.
And then your compass becomes your core values. Your compass becomes where you're going. So that is what is going to either eliminate or allow people in. Once you're comfortable with that, Mikali, you won't even have a problem with boundaries. And it doesn't mean that you're throwing people out. It just means that, yes, you are pleasant to be with, but then now you know this is what the checklist is for you to get closer and closer to me.
So if every Friday night was party,
yes,
and I've decided that is not what I'm doing,
yes,
then that's just it.
That's just it. I'm sorry, I'm not available. Yeah. But then when you're available during the day, you can call me and we can have lunch. I see.
I see that. I see what you did. So yeah, we can do lunch.
Yes.
So is it okay if we don't meet at my house? How about we just, that restaurant that's close to your house?
Yes. Yeah. We can meet and have coffee. I'll be somewhere around there, so it's still okay. So you're still not, you're not saying, we are saying you're not erecting walls, you're creating fences. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And we've come to the end of this conversation, Judy. It's been very powerful to have it. Your parting shot, maybe an encouragement to people who are struggling to do this for themselves or choose themselves, put them, or see themselves as gems, as beautiful, the most important VIPs.
Yes.
Rather,
yes.
Most valuable players, you're an MVP in your life, because
yes.
if you're not there anymore, then your life ends with that. So as long as you're here today, then you need to choose you. What will be your parting shot, Judy?
My parting shot would be to say, yes, we talk about boundaries, but it's not possible for you to create boundaries if you really don't know yourself. Yeah. That's where it begins. It begins with you taking a journey to rediscover yourself. It begins with you beginning to then attach value to who you are. And after you attach value to who you are, it will then become important for you to erect beacons to say, you know what, there's a gem in here, and this is how far you go.
And you help with that.
Yes.
Because you have a program that we all need to be a part of. Please tell us about that and social media handles as well.
Okay, I run a program called the Realignment Program. The Realignment Program is basically about aligning you back to your purpose, aligning you back to your identity, and then taking you to the place where you can draw boundaries. And then it becomes so much easier, Mikali. We're going to do this, right? So you can find me at Safarini with Judy Mzungu Hakula on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The telephone number 0784722733 or 0714722733. We'd like to take this journey with you. Karibu sana.
Yeah, I see Judy coming from my neck. Thank you so much. Always lovely.
Asante sana.
Always lovely.
Asante sana.
We're going to take a very short commercial break. We will be right back. Don't go too far.